Yeah, no one was feeling the clit story? All right, that's one of those jokes you'll hear for the last time. All right. So let's give it up for our final comedian of the first half. After that, we're going to take a bit of a break, 15 minutes approximately. You can go to the bathroom, you can grab a drink, and we'll reconvene here. But first, we got a very funny comedian coming up here. So I want you to give him a very warm applause. Let's give it up for Socrates.
Thanks so much. Can you go over Samir out there? Yeah, so I'll try to be a clit. I'm not. I don't have a lot of clit experience. I've searched for it. Thought I found it. I don't. Well, my name is Socrates. I am an American. Appreciate that. Thank you. It's like being a big dick. I don't know. I think the world's, misunderstanding us and what we try to do. I think that a lot of the problems in the world right now, people think it's, you have a problem, you instantly think, I know what can fix this, politicians. And if it's a really big problem, then a bunch of politicians is obviously the solution that we all desperately seek. I think I speak for all of us here. I think I'm very proud and faithful in our politicians. Right? Exactly, yeah. That's why we come to comedy. But we have to laugh at it. Yeah. It sounds like crying, and you just pretend it was a laughter. And, you laugh hard enough, the tears are streaming down your face. Nobody fucking knows. Yeah. I'm having a great goddamn time. I'm 56, so this is sort of a normal experience. You'll get used to it too. Michelle knows what I'm talking about, but it doesn't get better. But I think one of the problems that the politicians have is that people don't understand what they are, what they're about, and a lot of this comes down to words. I've been aware now that words are important, that the best way for people to understand you is to use words. I was grunting a lot. It worked alone. I was, 2 years in isolation. I understood everything I grunted, It's mostly about the clit, but the thing is this, politicians and politics, what people don't understand is, you see, the origins of some of these words. Of course, a Greek father will tell you that politics is a Greek word. The Greek fathers are very proud of these things, and it comes from poly, which means many, and ticks, which is a blood-sucking parasite that spreads diseases. Politics. Yeah, that's why we have politicans, I guess. I don't know. But so I'm confident, is my point, that I'm sure that all these problems that we're facing are going to be solved because I believe in democracy. No, it's not funny. It's not a joke, okay? It's a great idea. Another guy named Socrates gave his life up, although he was saying it wasn't a great idea. And it's hard to say which way they're going on that, but the court's still out on it. But the thing about democracy, if you haven't guessed, is that it's a Greek word. Yeah, of course. It comes from demo, to try out, and kresi, which is Greek for wine. Because they asked the people what they wanted, and they said democracy, because they just wanted to get drunk and have a good time, Which is why all the political groups are called parties. Because ain't no party like a green party. I don't know. So I'm just saying I have optimism. It's a word, If we can agree what it means, we can just move forward on it. But I've had relationships. The clit was involved. Not necessarily, found, but it was there somewhere. It was a word. But I had arguments. Anybody in relationships with arguments? I know you guys are. Who's the married couple? Was that you two? Never argued, do you? No, of course not. No, I understand. I had one of the dumbest arguments in the world, which is a word-based argument. I said that, say what you will, this was a couple years ago, but Britney Spears, I said, say what you will about Britney Spears, she had a better career than Debbie Gibson. Now, my girlfriend at the time argued desperately against me to the point where she actually hit me. Now, if you don't know who Debbie Gibson is, it proves I was right. Now, where the word comes into it is the next day when she apologized to me, as sometimes it happens. She said she didn't mean Debbie Gibson, she meant Madonna. Now, you can see her point, right? Madonna probably had a better career than Britney Spears, But the important thing was the word. You see, this is something you should probably learn early on in your life. As an 18-year-old at a comedy show, I give you credit for that. But it's the word. See, if you use the word Madonna, not the word Debbie Gibson, it screws up the whole meaning thing, I mean, I found that out after I came out of the house, and I started to, talk to people again, and they were like, what the hell are you saying? And I was like, I had to retool it, you know what I mean? Another helpful tip for people who don't speak English, which is a really bad night, but nonetheless, I give you credit for sticking it out. You know the difference between the word famous and infamous? They both mean to be popular, but to be famous is to be popular for a good reason, whereas to be infamous is to be popular for a bad reason. I'll give you an example. When I was growing up in the 80s, Bill Cosby was famous. And now he's becoming infamous. So now I've moved to the Netherlands in about 2009, and another whole problem with the word thing is the Dutch have their own words. I guess they're words. They're sounds, you know what I mean? I think it's interesting that you could make words out of, all these different sounds. The Chinese seem to be sort of an E thing. Most of the Chinese I hear is lots of E, different weird, Of course, the Dutch, they love a good chach. Not a word that you can't make better with a chach in there, Chach in the beginning and a chach at the end. It's an awesome, awesome sound. Like tonight, this is my favorite Dutch word, is this word for warm, wonderful, enjoyable evening, gezellig. Anyone here not speak Dutch? A few people. This will be a little Dutch lesson for you, I guess. The rest of you actually do speak Dutch, so you know what I'm talking about. You'll agree, this is all very gezellig, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, it is. It's a very gezellig evening. And, but of course, the Dutchest of all word, because it starts with a ch, ends with a ch, with that zel in the middle, I don't know why. But, every culture has their word. Like the Germans, they have that word for enjoying the pain of others, which is unfortunate for their culture, but they do. Because they needed it, because the guy's like, what are you doing? I don't know, that guy's suffering. It's just really, come up with a word for it, The Germans came up with Schwedenfruden. A word I can't exactly pronounce correctly, and I feel that when I say that word improperly, any German in the audience is like, you can't say it. Any Germans in here tonight? There you go. Like one, we have a hidden German in the back. Should I check for Russians, by the way? Is that another thing? No Russians tonight? Hey, one more Russian. Hey, probably don't have to raise your hand. Now, I assume the area around you is becoming Russia, but... Hey, I'm an American. I've gone through at least the last 4 years of being openly loved by everybody in Europe, so I understand. In the U.S., we had to have a word as well. The only word we came up with was for that word that we see the people everywhere around us, so we came up with the word asshole. It was necessary is my whole point. But another thing, I was in Greece a little while ago. I got to see my Greek family. The first trip I took after the long lockdown. And that was a wild experience to see outside the house. And I went to see my Greek family, and I was, been doing a bit of Dutch and everything, and I thought they would be more proud of my ability to speak another language. And I was incredibly wrong. I'm American, you know what I mean? If I can speak even English, it's impressive. That was painful, I appreciate it. But my cousin asked for something, and I handed it to her, and she said thank you, and without thinking, I said graag gedaan, which is Dutch for pleased to do it. But of course, she's Greek, and all she heard was me say graag gedaan. And she thought that maybe I needed a doctor, stroke issue at my age, I was just speaking Dutch. She said, well, what did you say? And I said graag gedaan. And she said, I literally had 6 of my cousins all, not at all supportive is my point, And also there's like a Greek word, agapimu, which means I love you, And I said agapimu because, the stupid Dutch thing. And they said to me, you sound German. It's painful. Again, I live in the Netherlands. You know what I mean? This is a put down. I may not be Dutch, but I get when I'm being put down. German. So I'm sitting around the table with a bunch of Greek people all arguing. They might have been saying nice things, but Greek to me, my whole life it sounds like an argument. I don't know why. But Greek, you speak in the front of your mouth. Everything's in the lips, you know what I mean? And of course, Dutch is, and it's in the back of the throat. And English is none of that shit, You can break your jaw, wire it together, and it doesn't really affect anything. You can continue to talk. It's not exactly the same. But for the most part, it really doesn't matter, You try to talk Dutch, I can't hear, you can't hear, the tune. Another fun thing to do with Dutch people, by the way, is the UI, the ow. If you try to say the word ow, like the back room is a town. And you say town, and they're like, no, it's town. And you're like, town? And like, town. You can get a whole bunch of Dutch people, they become a fish, a whole school of fish, but town. And in the end, you learn how to say town. It works out right. Now, my favorite Dutch word, or one of my favorite Dutch words, is their word for sweet sugar honey pie. We have only fattening words in English for the people we love. But the Dutch word, of course, is schatje. Schat. I don't get that word personally, because it doesn't sound nice to me. It sounds like shit. When I heard schatje, it's like the awful place. I don't know what the awful store is. It sells food. It looks to me like a garbage store. I see the word awful, I think garbage. I don't know what it is, but I think schatje is a bad choice for a word for I love this thing, The thing that I find odd about schatje is that it's the J-A at the end is diminutive, so it's a little tiny schat. But the way they shrink schatje down, they call each other schat. They shrink schatje down into the bigger shot. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's just me, but I find it. So, we'll switch gears for whatever reason. I guess segue in there. Anyway, so I've been trying to do some more dating. I was doing the Tinder thing. But, I set my filter for like 20 to 26 because, I'm optimistic. Hey, I'm a politician. And a friend of mine told me that, you should probably date cougars. And, older women, Yeah. But I'm 56. So I'm dating a 72-year-old. It's going pretty good, you know what I mean? We got a lot in common. And it's getting serious. And we're talking about having kids. But I'm woke, you know what I mean? So I decided I'm carrying the baby. And, about 2 years so far, and you know, it's coming along nicely. And Courage is going to keep gaining weight too. So. Anywho. So, like, if you want advice, I'm not sure if you're hoping for advice, but you know, you're going to get some. If I could give anybody advice, it's the most important thing in life is to maintain a work and life balance. You know what I mean? The most important thing, I think, is you should never take your work home with you. And this applies doubly if you're a kindergarten teacher. Now, yeah, a friend of mine asked me a little while ago, we were talking about like when we, you know, like when we lost our virginity and such. And the thing is, I actually don't remember the first time I had sex. I don't. Well, it was such an overwhelming experience for me, you know what I mean? You know, I had never been to prison before. But I found out, you know, I learned a lot of different things. One thing I found out, in some ways, being gay and being straight, it's not that different. I'll give you an example. As a straight man, I can't get laid. I know, thanks, appreciate that. You know, if I go to the bar at the end of the night, you know, it's nothing. But, however, as a gay man, I choose not to get laid. See, at the end of the night, the end result is exactly the same. But the difference is empowering. Let me see if I get that thing. So, I'll leave you with one last thing. I think all immigrants to the Netherlands will tell you the same truth. That I, like most people, I moved to the Netherlands for the food. But I stayed for the weather. So, my name is Ricardo. Thank you all so much.